Hey everybody, welcome back to the farm. This is Jewel behind me, and if you haven't seen her yet, I'll link a video at the end of this video introducing her to the farm. But she's got scratches on her legs, and I've been treating them for the last week, and I'm going to show you how I've been treating them. Scratches is a skin condition that is caused at the bottom of the leg. On the draft horses, the Clydesdales and the Percherons and the Belgians, you know, they've got very hairy legs down at the bottom, and they call that feathers. And in prolonged wet conditions, or a muddy paddock or a muddy stall or a wet stall, and the horse is just standing in a prolonged wet period, the sensitive skin at the bottom of the fetlock, at the top of the hoof, in the back area and on the front, it just gets irritated. It gets swollen, it gets red, it can crack. And in her case, hers has been going on for an extremely long period of time. And so her front right is highly irritated and her back left is highly irritated. If you remember, and I'll show you in just a minute, her back left hoof is cracked. And David out in Texas said that he thought that it was an abscess and that it blew out the hoof wall. And I've been watching her for the last week and treating her, and she stomps her feet to scratch that itch. And so I'm not so sure that her stomping her foot repeatedly on the ground is what did not cause that crack in her hoof. But in any event, it's going to take us several weeks to get this under control, maybe even months. And it's probably going to be a ongoing process where I just, you know, wash her feet and dry them weekly. But she's got some pretty hairy legs, and scratches can happen on any horse, but it's just more prevalent in the draft horses that have the feathers underneath there. So what I've been doing is I've been spraying hydrogen peroxide on the most infected areas every other day. And then once a week, I've been just putting a little bit of palm olive on there, getting it nice and soapy, and then mixing some betadine in there. And then once I'm done with that, I let that sit on there for about 5 minutes after I get it all nice and soapy and lathery, and I move to the next hoof. And then I rinse all that off, and then I get it as dry as I can get it with towels. And then I let it air dry, and then I put some Johnson's baby powder on it to help help keep it dry, just like on a baby's butt. So she's in the tie stall. She's such a good girl. You're not really going to be able to see the scratches. They say that you should trim all the feathers off with some clippers, but I'm just not really set up for that right over here with no power yet, and I don't have cordless trimmers. So I'm not trimming it. I'm just lifting up the feathers and cleaning it out the best I can. The first week that I did it, I washed off a ton of debris, a ton of scabs, and just a ton of junk. And it's pretty infected, it's pretty smelly, but it's a lot better in just the week that I've been treating it. So a lot more is gonna come off today. Let me show you her feet. The farrier will be out in 2 weeks. So, but I don't know if you can see any of this scabbing up underneath here. It's not easy to see, but there's a bunch of scabbing and it's already breaking off. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna fold this up and spray it with hydrogen peroxide. And I'm just feeling for where the scabs are. She knows that I'm helping her, so she's not really jumpy or anything like that. Anytime you're down here around these hooves, you need to be very, very careful, and you need to pay attention to body language. And if there's any movement at all, you need to be cognizant of that movement. and you need to be ready to move yourself. So don't think that I don't recognize that there's a danger down here working with these hooves, because I surely do. All right, you can see that it's foaming up quite a bit. A lot of the foam is falling out here on her hooves. So that hydrogen peroxide is working pretty good, but I'm gonna spray it. I'm gonna get just a little bit of soap on there. This soap goes a long ways. You know, a lot of you might be saying, why are you using palm olive? You know, whenever there's an oil spill or something out on the Gulf or out on the Pacific, wherever, they always use palm olive to clean the animals. I don't know if you've ever noticed that or not, but they use that to get all the oil off the seabirds and off the otters and everything. So that's why I'm using it. Now what I'm feeling is there's a lot of debris that's broken off that's just hung up in her fur. It's still pretty scabby, but this is gonna take a while. We're gonna get her teeth floated in 2 weeks in February. And when I take her up there to get her teeth floated, we'll probably trim a lot of this off right here in this area so that we can have better access to it. But it's so much better than it was a week ago. And like I said, this is a long process. So I'm gonna spray it a little bit more, get it wet. Now that it's all lathered up, get some betadine on here. Just really get this going. Get in there with my fingertips. You see she's not moving at all, so. All right, now that is washed and wet and saturated, I'm gonna move on to this other hoof over here. This hoof is not near as bad. She just has a couple of spots. So, and it's mostly on the outside. She doesn't have anything on the inside. I'm still gonna wash it just like I washed her other one and treat it the same way. When I was up there in Ohio, one of the horses up there had scratches, and I talked to the Amish guy about it, and he told me that they don't do anything for scratches. They don't treat them at all. So that would explain why her scratches is as severe as it is. It's not, whoa, easy, easy. I lost my train of thought there because she stepped up and I had to pay attention to what she was doing. But the Amish guy told me he didn't do anything for it. Maybe that's what I was saying. And this explains, or that would explain why her scratches is as severe as it is on this foot, or on her feet rather. And it's not something that can't be addressed. It's just that this hasn't been addressed. And back here underneath her fetlock, and then there's a pocket right here above this hoof. And there's a lot of embedded dirt and everything. So when we get her sedated to float her teeth, we'll cut all of this out just to get it cleaner. I'm not going to show you that, but we're going to do the back two the same way. I'll show you her back hoof real quick though. So now we're going to go back over here and wash off this front one. Now that it's been sitting for a few minutes, you want to get all that soap out of there. See, and there's debris coming out of there. Easy, easy. 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 See, this isn't in her scab anymore, it's just in her fur. That's gonna have to be brushed out. It's just part of the healing process, and the stuff is breaking off, which is all very good news. I'll try to lather it up again and verify that there's no soap in there. Still feels like there's a little bit right here in the front. It doesn't smell as bad as it did last week when I did this, which is another good indication that we're on the right track. And this feels good to her because she can't, she can't really scratch this area. So she bites her front legs, but she can't do anything with her back ones except slam them to the ground. Her back hoof, like I was telling you, see, it's got a pretty bad crack in it, but I think that's from her slamming her foot down. So I'm gonna wash these back two the same way I did. So all four of her feet are washed now, and I'm gonna show you some of the debris that we washed off. That's just hung up in her hair that I'm gonna brush out. You licking your lips? You happy? Good girl, she is. So if you look right here, there's particles that are just in her fur. Let me get the light. See all this right here? This is all scab and dead skin that's healing, that's breaking off. Back here in the back, all of this that's breaking off. So that's all signs of healing. And her back one is the same way. And now that they're dry, we'll put some baby powder on there. Easy. Easy. And now we'll back her out. Back, 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 back. Good girl. All right, well, that went excellent. She is a phenomenal patient and very patient. She knows you're helping her, so when she knows that you're helping her, she's going to be a little bit more understanding than if you're trying to do something that she's not wanting and fighting you and bracing against you and stuff. She's just used to being tied and used to being handled so much that I didn't have to do very much. So they're out there on their hay bale. You can see them right there. They went over there. I just put a fresh hay bale out there for them. So we'll just do this weekly. We'll just stay on top of it. It's a very common problem, like I said. It can be a major problem, and hers has kind of gotten to be a major problem, but it would be no different than you and I having a cut or an irritation or something, and we didn't address it, and it just kind of festered, and then you got on it a little bit too late, and it just took a little while to get it back under control. I can use a topical cream, an antibiotic topical cream, but Dr. Zoe didn't feel that that was a need. We just, are doing this course of medicine here, and just getting it washed out with betadine once a week is and washing it every other day with hydrogen peroxide is doing wonders. You saw all the debris that's coming off of it, and like I said, we'll get them trimmed up when we get her over to Dr. Zoe's to get her teeth floated in 2 weeks. So one of the things about doing it right now is it's winter. It's January right now. I mean, it looks like it's summer, but it's January. It's probably 40, 45, 46 degrees right now. And it's a lot different than the summer. Here in Georgia, we get, 90-degree plus weather regularly with super high humidity. As soon as you walk out of your house, you start sweating. Sweat rolling down the lower part of your back. And I mean, it's just horrible as soon as you walk out. But right now it's not bad. So the good thing about getting on top of it right now is it's during the winter, and she's not generating a huge amount of body heat in her feathers. There's still body heat under there, obviously, but there's not as much as there could be in the winter with the high humidity. So that's not trimming her feathers helps in that regard because it is winter. So we're just going to stay on top of it. I think she's going to come out fine. It's going to take a couple of months, I think, to get on top of it. And and like I said, it may be a weekly deal where we wash your feet weekly, but I'm not opposed to that. I mean, you got to wash your horses off anyway. So it takes, I don't know, 15 minutes or so to treat all 4 feet. Not that bad. So anyway, the farrier was coming. It's supposed to have been here yesterday, but we had a change of plans, and Jonathan, my Amish farrier, is no longer going to be coming. He's got enough work in Florida to keep him down there to where he doesn't have to come up here anymore. So I had to get a new farrier, and that new farrier couldn't get here as quickly as I needed him to. So he'll be in the area in 2 weeks. So he'll be back in 2 weeks, and there'll be a video of barefoot trimming her, and there'll be a video upcoming of getting her teeth floated as well over at Dr. Zoe's. So I appreciate you watching this week, and guys, as always, remember who you are. Be kind to those around you. Stand up for what you believe in.